You wake up, you eat breakfast, maybe oatmeal, maybe eggs, something light, and within 30 minutes, there it is, that burning, that heaviness, that tight, uncomfortable feeling right here in the center of your chest and stomach. So you reach for the antacid, or maybe you've been taking a prescription acid blocker for years now. And here's what I want you to stop and think about for just a moment. What if the burning isn't from too much acid, but from not enough protection? Because after the age of 60, something starts happening inside your stomach that most doctors don't talk about in a 10-minute appointment, and it changes everything about how you feel after you eat. Today, we're going to go inside the stomach wall itself. We're going to look at what's actually protecting it, and I'm going to show you why one of the oldest foods in human history, something your grandmother probably made every week, may be one of the most powerful things you can eat for your digestive health right now. Stay with me, because if you've been treating the wrong problem, this is going to change how you think about every single meal. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine the inside of your stomach as a room with walls. Now, those walls are being constantly sprayed with acid, powerful acid, hydrochloric acid, in fact, strong enough to dissolve metal over time. So why doesn't your stomach digest itself? Because of a layer of protection called mucin. Mucin is a thick gel-like coating that lines the entire inside of your stomach. Think of it like a wetsuit, flexible, slippery, and completely resistant to the acid on the other side. It sits between the acid and the actual tissue of your stomach wall, keeping everything calm. When you're young, your body produces this mucin in abundance. It renews itself constantly. You eat spicy food, you drink coffee, you eat a late dinner, and your stomach handles it without complaint. The layer holds. But here's what changes after 60. The cells responsible for producing mucin, called goblet cells, begin to slow down. They produce less. The layer thins. In some areas, it becomes patchy, uneven, almost threadbare. And when that happens, the acid that was always there, doing its perfectly normal job, starts making direct contact with the stomach lining itself. That's not heartburn from eating the wrong food. That's your stomach wall sending you an alarm. And here's the twist most people never hear. Most people assume that burning feeling means they have too much acid, so they take something to reduce it. And for a while, maybe it feels better. But here's what's actually happening in a large portion of adults over 60. Stomach acid levels naturally decline with age. By your late 60s, many people actually produce significantly less acid than they did at 40. This is a documented, well-studied process, and yet they still feel burning, still feel reflux, still feel that uncomfortable pressure after eating. How is that possible? Because when mucin production drops, even normal or even reduced levels of acid are enough to irritate exposed tissue. The problem was never the acid. The problem was the thinning armor. And there's more. Low stomach acid creates its own cascade of problems. Without enough acid, proteins aren't broken down properly. Minerals like calcium, zinc, and iron aren't absorbed efficiently. Bacteria that would normally be destroyed in the stomach start surviving and traveling into the intestines where they don't belong. The whole downstream process, the small intestine, the large intestine, all of it begins working against a weakened foundation. So, if you've been reducing acid to fix a gut that was actually struggling with weakened mucin protection, you may have been solving the symptom while deepening the root cause. This is why I want to talk about what you can actually do, and it starts with something that costs almost nothing: bone broth. I know, you've probably heard about it. Maybe you've even rolled your eyes at it because it's been packaged and marketed and turned into a wellness trend. But I want to go beneath the trend, all the way down to the actual biochemistry, and show you exactly why this food matters for your stomach lining specifically. When you simmer bones, beef bones, chicken bones, any connective tissue for several hours, something remarkable happens. The collagen inside those bones and cartilage breaks down into gelatin. And that gelatin, when it reaches your digestive system, is broken down further into individual amino acids. Two of those amino acids are called glycine and proline. and here's why that matters. Glycine is one of the primary building blocks of the mucin layer itself. Your goblet cells, those mucin-producing cells we talked about, use glycine as raw material. When you give your body more glycine through food, you're essentially handing your stomach wall the bricks it needs to patch itself. Proline works similarly. It's essential for the synthesis of new collagen, which supports the structural integrity of the stomach tissue underneath the mucin layer. It's the scaffolding behind the wetsuit. But the benefits don't stop at the stomach. The entire gastrointestinal tract, from the stomach all the way to the large intestine, has a mucosal lining that relies on similar protective mechanisms. Glutamine, another amino acid found in quality bone broth, is the primary fuel source for the cells that line the intestines. When inflammation irritates those cells and creates microscopic gaps, sometimes called increased intestinal permeability, glutamine helps restore the tight junctions between them. In other words, bone broth doesn't just help the stomach, it works the entire length of your gut like a repair crew moving through a building. Now, how do you actually use it? First, quality matters enormously. A carton from a grocery shelf with bone broth flavor printed on it is not the same thing. What you want is broth made from actual bones, simmered slowly for 6 to 12 hours minimum. When it's done correctly and you refrigerate it overnight, the broth should solidify into a jelly-like consistency. That's the gelatin. That's exactly what you want. If it stays liquid in the fridge, it hasn't been cooked long enough or from the right ingredients. You don't need a large amount. A cup in the morning, warm with just a small pinch of sea salt, is enough to begin providing those amino acids before your digestive system has to tackle a full meal. Some people find it easier to sip it like tea, others add it as a base for their breakfast soup. The timing matters also. Drinking bone broth 30 minutes before a meal, not with the meal, but before, allows those amino acids to reach the stomach lining ahead of the digestive challenge. Think of it as preparing your defenses before the work begins. Consistency matters more than quantity. A small cup every day for 4 to 6 weeks is far more beneficial than a large pot once a month. And one more thing. Bone broth works best as part of a broader approach to reducing what inflames and damages the mucin layer in the first place. The main offenders are well known: alcohol, regular use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, highly processed foods with artificial emulsifiers, and chronic psychological stress, which directly reduces mucin production through the nervous system's influence on the gut. The gut and the brain talk to each other constantly. Stress isn't just something you feel in your head, your stomach feels it too, and its first response is to reduce the protective layer. Here's what I want you to walk away understanding at a deeper level. Your digestive system is not a passive tube, it's a living, responsive organ system with its own intelligence. The stomach lining isn't just a container, it's an active participant in your health, producing hormones, communicating with the immune system, and making decisions about what gets absorbed into your bloodstream. When the mucin layer is healthy and robust, the stomach can do all of that efficiently. Digestion is smooth, nutrients are extracted, the immune system downstream is calm because it's not being bombarded with irritants that leaked through a compromised wall. When the layer thins, everything downstream suffers. Nutrients are less efficiently absorbed, even if you're eating a perfectly healthy diet. The immune system in the gut wall activates more frequently, creating a low-grade chronic inflammation that we now associate with everything from fatigue to joint pain to cognitive fog. Your gut is not separate from your brain, your joints, your skin, your energy levels. It is the foundation, and the foundation is repairable. That's the piece people in their 60s and 70s most need to hear. This is not irreversible. The goblet cells are still there. They still respond to signals from nutrition. Give them the building blocks, remove the things that attack the layer, and the repair process begins, quietly, steadily, cell by cell. You don't need a prescription for this. You need a pot, some bones, some water, and about 8 hours. If this episode gave you a new way of looking at your digestion, share it with someone who's been struggling with the same discomfort after meals, because most people are still treating the symptom. Most people still don't know about the mucin layer. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to understand how everything from your microbiome to your gallbladder to your pancreas changes after 60 and what you can do about each one, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is about. One system at a time, one piece of the puzzle at a time. Your body knows how to repair itself. Give it the right information. I'll see you in the next one.